What is your worst fear? Take a moment to think about that. Though there are some who are afraid of snakes, some people are deathly terrified, and I mean terrified of storms. Maybe they're not a crowd person, maybe they're terrified of social interactions. All of those fears can be justified because of the knowledge that we've acquired of them. You're aware that there are some kinds of spiders that are lethal and venomous. There are some snakes in this world that are capable of swallowing you whole. It's possible to be lost or even harmed in a large crowd if you're not wary of your surroundings. You see, the more information that we gather on certain topics, the greater the possibility that they can give rise to uneasiness if we ponder on their potential dangers. But there's a different kind of fear, one that sort of stands above the rest. The fear of the unknown. This is what one would describe when what you don't know actually can hurt you. Or perhaps it couldn't. You can't tell for sure. You have no knowledge of what you're going to encounter or perhaps encounter at that very second. The fact of the matter is, you're going in completely blind. And that toys with you. It drives you insane. Teetering on the ledge of whether or not you're certain something will come to be can cause more discord within the mind than you may be able to handle. For example, let's say you enter a dark room. You know there's hardly any light, but you can tell there's a lot of space because you're moving around a lot. And after a few minutes of wandering about, your thoughts begin to wander. How big is this room? Is there an end to it? How long am I going to be here until I find the end? What am I going to find at the end? Will I be the only one at the end of it? Is there anyone else in this room? Anything? Is it still safe to be here? Your mind starts playing tricks on you. Did you just see something move in the darkness? No. Of course I didn't. Did I? Did I just hear something? Is it safe here? Am I safe? What was once curiosity quickly molds itself into uncertainty and then snaps itself into the form of anxiety. You turn around, run back out the door and lock it shut and... Okay. Now that could have meant one of two things. One, it could have all been in your head. You just created some needless anxiety for yourself in what's nothing more than an empty room with its light off. Or beyond your knowledge, it could have been one of the most dangerous places to be. A dark space where something is potentially lurking, watching you. The darkness not even acting as a liability. It might not even be human. But whatever it is, it's alive. Well, you're not going to know for sure because one thing's certain, you're not going back in that room. But the questions remain and they'll never be answered as long as you've acquired no understanding of this mysterious room. But this fear doesn't just relate to physical things in a dark room. It can also dwell in practical situations, a lack of predictability in day-to-day life, confronting new experiences, new environments and locations that you're unsure of, meeting new people, thinking to yourself, will I be able to forge healthy and comfortable relationships with them? Or if I talk to them, will things take a turn for the worse? Simply wondering if you'll be able to make it to the next day alive. This fear extends into many different avenues. It gives rise to anxiety, uncertainty. This is the fear of the unknown. Now hold on to that thought. We'll be back to that shortly. On a more happy, semi-related note.
Him! Elfilin!
He has taken over my headspace and I have nowhere else to throw these loud thoughts. And unfortunately, as one of my subscribers or new viewers, you are not safe from him. I've actually talked about Elfilin before on this channel about a year ago, I think. But I had no idea how much of a grasp this character would have on me. Like, look at this dude's ears. Look at him. Look at that teal. Look at those eyes. They're so adorable. Little nose, you got the little nose. And at some point I realized it's not just the character that intrigued me or just his design. It was actually his overall relationship with Kirby that was just so fresh. Now this is kind of a tricky thing to talk about since Kirby games tend to be more straightforward and simple with their stories, not really relying too much on them. But Forgotten Land was a bit beefier with its story than most titles. Granted, it was still an easy to understand type of story. The only thing slowing down my upcoming words is the fact how not even the game really says any of what I'm about to say in full detail. It's more of a show and don't tell type of ordeal. And the fact how the story actually is easy to understand seems to play even a larger role than one would think. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to unpeel the experience of Kirby and Elfilin's dynamic like some type of cosmic banana. But I think it's important for me to tackle this without any bias, and I'll try really hard not to. You can disagree with everything I'm about to ramble about, and you can even think I'm crazy scooping all of this out of the existence of a flying blueberry rat, but you know what? This This is not just Elfilin. This is Elfilin and Kirby's friendship, simple yet spirited.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
To start off, it is primitive to evaluate the giving and receiving ends of both sides of a relationship to grasp its status. So we'll delve into a common type of relationship that you see every day, that being friendship. The foundation for a solid friendship starts with, you guessed it, a friend. Enter Kirby, the pink puff of positivity. Kirby is what one would call, what's the word? Adaptable. Yeah, that's the word. Adaptable. Yeah, that works. You can see this in the various voyages he's taken and conquered beyond his home planet Popstar, as well as his ability to copy the powers of his opponents. Adaptability is one of Kirby's strongest suits. Now, when he and Dreamland's residents are sucked through a vortex in the sky and sent to this new world, things really aren't the same. Meta Knight scouts the world immediately for a way home and makes that one of his main priorities for a long time. King Dedede is said to wander the world, lost for months and depressed until he's found by the enemy. The Waddle Dees are all terrified, and understandably so, they're far from home. And Kirby is still Kirby. His happiness, his confidence, his curiosity, none of that falters. While everyone else wanders the land with a sense of urgency and unease, Kirby is quite literally just cruising with a car in his mouth. This opening segment of Welcome to the New World is so straightforward and enjoyable to listen to, but it also speaks volumes for Kirby's personality. He's not some deep overthinker. He definitely isn't shackled by anxious feelings. I mean, for crying out loud, the first tune that plays in the game is the cheery track titled Running Through the New World. Kirby is fascinated. Yes, he's lost, and yes, he's far from home, and from his understanding, for a short time, he's on his own. But he's a beacon. He's light. In a silent and abandoned world, he's noisy and adventurous. He adapts to the adventures and situations that he's thrown into simply by wearing a smile on his face and looking for some good grub to wolf down. A life of ease, that's the life Kirby wants to live. But most importantly, he's free. Free of doubt, free of anxiety, all of those heavy things that can weigh anybody down. Kirby just lets that go. And his journey here is to share that freedom with those who sorely need it the most. Kirby's charisma is the very key basis for his and Elfilin's friendship. So now let's take a look at the other side of this friendship. This is what used to be Waddle Dee Town. After the Dees end up in this new world, they build a small town to keep themselves safe and occupied, until they're attacked by the enemy group known as the Beast Pack. The pack makes very quick work of and locks up hundreds upon hundreds of Waddle Dees, kidnapping them, dispersing them all throughout the world. But they missed one target. Uh-oh, here he is, Elfilin, that's my boy! He was here the whole time! Alright, come on, Elfilin. Show the enemy what you're made of! And he's flying away. He's flying. No. Run! No! Don't corner yourself! Get out of there! You can fly! Don't just stand there! Okay. This one cutscene marks Elfilin's debut, and although it's nothing complex, it makes one thing very clear. At this point in time, Elfilin is weak. He can't keep himself safe if he were thrown into peril like Kirby. He's not much of a fighter, and he's incapable of defending himself. Very, totally helpless. And like most games with their small buddy companion characters that give you advice throughout the game, you meet him by approaching the scene right on time to save him from the clutches of the enemy. But notice, it's what Elfilin says right after his retrieval that gives him a little more foundation to what he's about. One of his first concerns isn't really about safety, nor about getting to a safer place to hide from the pack, not even about the fact that he wasn't able to be of use when the Waddle Dees were being taken away. His first concern was, hey, I need to rescue them. Pronto. What the? You! Okay? We just watched this guy run from generic mook enemies, corner himself, and get outsmarted by a few Awoofies and some Clockerbirds. Imagine losing a fight to an Awoofie. I could never. But the point is that Elfilin just showed us he's not some brave adventurer. He makes one wrong move and it's curtains. And now you want to go out there into an unknown world fraught with danger, crawling with powerful enemies hundreds of times stronger than the pups you fled from 10 seconds ago and save a total of 300 Waddle Dees? That is actually commendable. Elfilin is not doing any of this to play hero or boost his own ego or get anything out of it in the end. He genuinely cared for the well-being of the Waddle Dees, who, from his point of view, were complete strangers for a time. And you even find out from Elfilin himself that he helped the Waddle Dees build the town. They all teamed up to keep safety as their main priority, and now he just wants that back. His words to Kirby after an offer to help even goes as follows: "You'll help me save everyone?" Of course, Kirby takes the lead in the adventure, but this is both Elfilin and Kirby's main priority. And while Kirby could probably do it with his eyes closed, Elfilin, who's never even seen an adventure like this, much less a fight, lets determination drive him. This kid's got heart. From the start, this is a task Elfilin took upon himself. I guess those words just struck me as odd, since whenever companions meet up with Kirby, they usually ask for help to restore either their homeworld or restore their ship, begging for help to stop the sun and moon from hitting that yoinky splunky, but Elfilin is putting himself on the front lines with Kirby for nothing in return. And he's nervous about it. Sure, he's happy Kirby's coming with him, but this is a mysterious world after all. Elfilin doesn't fully know what's out there. Neither does Kirby. And when playing the game for the first time, neither did you. The fear of the unknown would overtake anybody when faced with a quest this treacherous. A world where apparently only the strong survive and you aren't even familiar with the half of them? That's dangerous. Some of these enemies will single-handedly redefine the word power in Elfilin's eyes. You walk out of this destroyed town and into the world on your own, you are putting your life on the line. On his own, that would have been dismissible for Elfilin. It might have not even crossed his mind. But now he has Kirby and Bandanity. Elfilin is still dependent on them for his safety, but that is not stopping him from moving forward with a smile. This isn't some horror movie, it's just a deep dive into the unknown and not as stressful as being shrouded in fear. The tone carries itself in confidence. Even the player knows that this is just another friendly, fun romp for Kirby, and that in the end, he's gonna prevail. And for Elfilin, he just wants his friends back. And he's even willing to travel alongside Kirby and risk his well-being on the front lines for the entire game to do it. Well, actually, almost the entire game. This guy, and this guy too, and this lurking legend. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call them the New World Trio, so that makes things easier, yeah. And so the New World Trio is off, traveling the land to save some D's. And along the way, Elfilin occasionally makes brief comments about the environments, whether they're fun or too cold or I want to swim. Don't drown. You can tell from these comments that he's still on the young side. But one of my personal favorites is, when I'm with you, Kirby, everything becomes an adventure. Hell! Please, do not separate them ever! No. What? No. What? By the time Kirby and company make it to Winter Horn, some new dialogue text from Elfilin can be seen when visiting the Waddle Dee town, and he asks you, "Say, what do you think the Beast Pack wants with the Waddle Dees anyway?" And while that's a very simple question, it sort of sits in your head for a while. Huh, what do they want with the Waddle Dees? It's more or less a small line for the time being. It's funny because most of these creatures need to be worried about getting some soap. While the earlier question runs around in your mind, you make it to the boss of Winter Horns and learn that a certain king has been taken in under the influence of the pack. Not like Elfilin really knows who he is though. But after fighting and defeating King DDD, Elfilin does find out something new. A crucial discovery that should be known far and wide by every aspiring intellectual. You are not safe behind the stage results screen. It was at this point in the game that I started to realize something was very off. The large cast of creatures and enemies that the New World provides definitely showcase a large variety, and there is plenty. Awoofies, Clockers, Jabhogs, Mookies, Knockadiles, Bernard, Buffahorns, Rabbaroos, they're all teeming with huge numbers, and yet we see only one Elfilin, and now he's gone. What was once a happy and cheery bout throughout the world is now a silent trek to get back what was stolen from you. No more cheerful, helpful advice. No more peaceful nap times. No more comfort. Now the question goes from what does the pack want with the Waddle Dees to what do they want with Elfilin? Is he alright? These are the types of questions that Kirby would likely ask himself, And any normal person would do the same if their friend was snatched up and taken away before their eyes. Any normal person would be crushed by the weight of anxiety, the weight of fear. But Kirby's not just some normal person. He's going to act. He's going to get Elfilin back. And while yes, he is very worried for Elfilin, he needs to move. And that's exactly his plan. And everything that unfolds right after? Well, I'm sure you know the rest.
And here we are. Specimen ID F86.
You, the player. You confront this scene for the very first time and you can draw a few conclusions here. 1, it's time for some exposition. 2, this is some kind of old tour. 3, we're in an elevator. Elevators have a destination. Where are we going? The gears start turning. Where does this lead to? Whose voice is this? It's all a mystery until you're given hints with certain key words. IDF-86. Ultimate life form. Subspecimen? Kirby doesn't have time to think about all of that. But as soon as the tour guide's recorded voice presents the main attraction, it all becomes clear. A powerful extraterrestrial being known as Elfilin invaded? Chaos and mayhem follows this deity like a shadow. It was subdued. They were experimented on, seen as nothing more than a tourist attraction, used to further the civilization's technology. Planetary warp. A land of dreams. Forgo holds influence over Leongar. What are they capable of? Elfilin is the missing half. He's part of Forgo. No. You cannot let them rejoin. I need you to listen to me. Whatever happens, whatever goes wrong, they cannot rejoin.
Automatic language detection activated.
And here we are. Welcome,
Authentication.
And here we are.
Authenticating.
And here we are. And here we are. And here we are. Specimen ID F86.
Stop! It doesn't matter. My favorite part about this scene right after Leongar's defeat is the dialogue from Elfilin and Kirby. And that can make you laugh because there's actually not a single word spoken from either of them. That's part of what makes this beautiful. Aside from Elfilin's soft cries for help and the option to wave as Kirby in the light, there's only silence. And silence can be loud. Kirby doesn't back away from Elfilin in shock upon hearing this jarring revelation. Elfilin related to Forgo? Alright, and? Kirby doesn't hesitate even for a second. His first and only action left is to free his friend. Any relations to the big bad of the story for a brief moment, that just seems irrelevant. You see, a few times I brought up the fear of the unknown in this video. And there's a main reason why. To you, it may hinder you from making progress. To me, it could keep me stagnant if I choose to let it. The fear of the unknown plagues anyone, everyone, every day, and we're not even aware of who or how it may do so. But here, in this world, it doesn't mean crap. While it can be powerful, yes, do you know what's even stronger? The power of advancing forward, regardless of what you see. That's the power of Kirby. See, it didn't matter if this world was abandoned and mysterious. It didn't matter if the Beast Pack was brimming with powerful foes who, in the end, didn't mean any harm whatsoever. It didn't matter that Kirby was worlds away from his original home. he still pressed on. He still marched forward. It did not matter that Kirby's new friend, who was now just inches away from him once more, was the missing half of a worldwide phenomenon that could tear through dimensions as if they were sheets of paper. You see, ironically, the fear of the unknown is unknown to Kirby. They say ignorance is bliss, but maybe this isn't ignorance. Everyone is fully aware of what Elfilin is like at this point in the story. He's made himself clear as to who he is, his personality, his ambition, and Kirby's alright with all of that. Let me put this into perspective for you. See, the Kirby universe is massive. So many worlds, so many characters, some enemies can be connected. They might know each other, they might know of you before they even arrive on Popstar. Some characters have unearthed blueprints for ancient civilizations. Some have been banished to the edge of the galaxy eons ago. There are potential universal shifts and cosmic conquests that loom over these vibrant planets. There are lurking legends unbeknownst to any of us. Characters and worlds beyond Popstar that HAL has yet to introduce. And the funniest part about all of that? Kirby, the main protagonist of it all, he doesn't care too much about it. Yeah, he faces threats and explores new terrains when he needs to, but that's not all that he's about. The relationship between Elfilin, Fecto Forgo, and Fecto Elfilis, that's revealed to create some shock. It's unusual, it's new, and they're all technically one and the same, but it's just another cog in the grand scheme of things, in this grand universe. And instead of pondering over it or letting it fear him, Kirby would rather share a burger with a friend. And if you think about it, the only other times Elfilin's relationship to Elfilis is mentioned in the entire game is when Elfilin just speaks about it in a practical manner. Oh yeah, by the way, Elfilis is part of me. Anyway, as mentioned before, Kirby is not some deep-thinking intellectual. Neither does he have to be. He's still just Kirby. There's a certain kind of appeal in characters like this who are willing to look past what could be deemed as imperfections of dark past behind others. But there's an even greater pull towards characters who hardly even look in that direction to begin with. To have a friend who represents and values simplicity in its purest form, see, that's more than just having a friend. That's a gift. Because out of the countless foods Kirby's inhaled before, none of them brings him satisfaction the way being with his loved ones does. And the cherry on top, Kirby doesn't have to say any of this. Not one word is uttered between the two of them. All of this is conveyed and more to Elfilin simply by Kirby walking forward and saving his friend as a hero. But we're not done yet. Fecto Forgo escapes its eternal capsule and gives chase, and unfortunately absorbs Elfilin once more, transforming back into their original host, the ultimate life form, Fecto Elfilis. An intense battle ensues upon the rooftops of the lab, and Kirby frees Elfilin, but the sequence of Big Rig Kirby speeding towards the final clash and Elfilin powering Kirby's attack to its limit. Am I losing it? I have to be, because it seems as if this entire final part of the game seems to be reminiscent of one of Welcome to the New World's verses. See, don't be afraid, face your fears, you'll hunger for more. The tension builds, plunge ahead on the thrilling tour. Am I losing it? Am I losing it? Am I losing it? Man, who asked you? Anyway, Kirby's charisma has finally rubbed off on Elfilin to the point where he's more than just a companion character. He's alongside Kirby, fighting to save two worlds at once. And all of this can be encapsulated perfectly if only there was some type of end of the game cutscene. Oh, yeah, that's right. There is. After smashing in Elfilis' head with a truck, the trio gets sent through the large portal in the sky that Elfilis opens before its defeat. And both planets, Popstar and the New World, are fastly approaching their Roche limit. What's a Roche limit? In layman's terms, yeah, we don't want that. And do you know who the quickest one to act is? Yeah, take a wild guess. The portal is so huge and destructive that at this point, it's out of Kirby's hands. The only one that can reverse the vortex and save both worlds is Elfilin. And let me tell you, he's not wasting any time. His determination to make things right stands out above anything. And he's also not even entirely sure that he'll make it out alive. I mean, after all, he's using everything he has, every ounce of energy. But see, this feels so radically different. He goes through with his decision, giving all of his strength to close the portal, cementing the safety of the two worlds. That is not a choice he could have made way back in Waddle Dee Town, mentally or physically. Kirby's fearless aura has inspired him. It moved him to act. His friendship with a light of positivity put him through a metamorphosis, so to speak. And this time, it's permanent. Now, it's even more fitting that the name of this cutscene, as well as this track titled No Night is Eternal, which beckons towards daytime, a new day. And one of the main musical motifs is a nod to Tomorrow is a New Day, the original credits theme to Kirby's Dream Land. Now, some might just go, oh, cool musical reference, but this isn't just Elflin's quick decision, this is Elflin's big heroic moment. This feels as if this is a direct parallel to Kirby's first real heroic moment. See, this is one of the last things that he needs to do before his adventure comes to a close. Like when Kirby returns Dreamland its food at the end of his first journey. It's like Elflin enters a new day in his life that's so drastically different compared to the days where his lack of courage and determination held him back the most. Oh my god, that is so good! Why? Why is this so good? I have to be going crazy because that is beautiful. I'm not gonna shut up about that. I won't shut up about that. I will never shut up about that. That is beautiful. I love this. I love Kirby. I love Elfilin. I love all things. I love all the things. All the things I love him. The musical motif doesn't even fully finish either. It's left undecided, uncertain even. See, Elfilin could have been very well uncertain about his survival. Maybe he thought this would have been his last decision he'd ever make. The fear of the unknown clutches him one last time, but he's not frozen in time. Like Kirby, now that fear doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't faze him. In this final desperate attempt, Elfilin moves forward. After all, why wouldn't he give everything that he has when his loved ones need him the most? I could go on. I could talk about how Elfilin coming back about 12 seconds later weakened the impact of the sacrifice play that he made. Maybe he could have been the one we have to save on the Forgo Isles instead of Leon? And Leon could have maybe helped Kirby, giving him some more screen time? I don't know, that's just a personal opinion. I could also talk about how Elfilin is actually again front and center with Kirby and Bandanity as they enter the Forgo Isles to recover Leon's soul. I could bring up the fact that by quickly accepting Elfilin for who he was, Kirby moves him to embrace the remaining half of himself upon its defeat, letting himself be truly comfortable with everything that he is. I could discuss the fact that Kirby now has a friend who has a very small but useful power to open and close portals and doorways to other potential worlds, and maybe even other entire dimensions. Seems like a pivotal point of Kirby lore, and he can just open it up like it's his back door. Maybe. I don't know. How does this work? I could discuss how Elfilin canonically has a piece of Morphonite, aka the Grim Reaper, as a part of his body thanks to Chaos Elflin's past affiliation with them. Why does no one talk about that? Well, I could, but it's not going to change anything. Kirby's given rise to yet another friend, and this one seems to have one of the fastest developments as a character in his own debut game when compared to others. Why? Why him? Why did Hal think Elfilin would be this much of a beloved character? I mean, from the looks of the love he's received from the fans, I'm not even complaining. I'd love to see where it goes from here. That is, if Hal doesn't decide to forget about him for a decade. But the Elfilin that we see upon the game's conclusion has Kirby to thank for his growth and progression. And now it's all up to him to forge his own path from here on out. You see, friends can bring out the best in each other, so much that when we grow to unrecognizable heights, we become the types of people that we could only dream of being. Because, well, meeting a new friend is meeting a new you. That's reality. It's possible. It's always possible. Anyone can move forward with soaring determination. How do I know that? Oh, come on, we've seen it before. It doesn't matter if they've come from a line of darkness or if you're unsure of yourself, or if the shackles of doubt are keeping you from taking any action. Here's a Kirby character rule of thumb. If your heart's in the right place, it's not impossible for Kirby's kindness to bring forth the very best version of you for everyone to see. It's so remarkable. It's not some cheap trick. It's just the pure essence of Kirby. Slowly, one by one, he turns those who are around him into his allies, into his friends, into radiant, bright lights, simply just by using his charm of heart. And that, my friend, can be one of the most comforting and somewhat terrifying abilities among the stars. But with that raw power by your side, what's left that you have to fear? Go ahead. Name something. Yeah, I can't think of anything either.